Hey everybody, this is Texas Danny, and today is the 24th of May, 2025. It's a Saturday, early Saturday morning. Please excuse the gruff appearance. I thought it was appropriate. It reflects my inner self, which isn't going too smooth lately with the situations that I am facing that are in a spiritual aspect. It's a little rough. And I understand that some other of you have had some things going on that are also a little rough. To Vanessa, I'm sorry that you had your accident, and I hope that you are in recovering and things are going to go well. I'm sorry that that happened to you and that sort of thing. I'm hoping things are going to come out better for you, Vanessa, and you'll be better and well. To Richard in Florida. Richard in Florida, I received your message on my phone. I went through it and read it once, kind of just perused it, got a grasp of it. I'm sorry that you were counseled that the things weren't viable, that you thought they might go a certain way or that kind of thing, or be able to be worked out, and you were advised that the prospects weren't there, apparently. And I'm sorry that you went through such pain and agony and stuff like that, just more or less just having everything dropped. I am glad, though, to hear from you, and because I was thinking I didn't know what to expect, because of recent videos I've done lately that some of us have moved on, and I think that's either to a further quantum state in another reality where they're met their demise in this one, but their true self is still in a quantum reality and still alive. But in that further new aspect of Earth, that kind of thing. To all those out there, on my observations of Earth have still been going on. I've been bothered by the fact that I'm losing my eyesight, cataracts and so forth like that. Amazing things is that it took years from 2016, June of 2016, which is coming up soon, going to be the 9th anniversary I've had. And in those years, it took years from my eyesight to adjust, come off of this wild, amazing color distortion, kind of like an acid trip without any side effects visually. And it took years for that to abate. And finally it did. And by then, though, the fact that my eyes have physically here in this body, in this version of myself, my eyesight gave out, and it's very rough for me to see. It's like through a foggy lens. I can still see shape and form fine, move around fine, and that kind of thing like that. But I miss fine details. And my checking and looking at Earth is suffering from this a little bit, because some of the unique qualities that I used to be able to observe when I watched Google Earth on the video map of Earth is harder to pick up and see, much harder, in fact. But I can tell you that we are still undergoing changes, and we are still, apparently, though we have slowed down quite a bit, we are still closing. We are still getting smaller. It has not stopped. In the Mediterranean, Tunisia has come up closer to Sicily. And if you look in my prior videos, I've mentioned this, that Sicily was being closed in on fast by Tunisia. And Tunisia is now very close up on Sicily. very close on Sicily. And so the Mediterranean has still been closing, most apparently in the Western Mediterranean, close to the Strait of Gibraltar. Used to be the Straits of Gibraltar for me, my reality, because the Rock of Gibraltar was out in the middle of the Straits, and the Straits was over 50 miles wide, something like that, like something like 53 miles, 52, 53 miles wide. It was so wide that it couldn't be closed off even during World War II. The enemy combatant shipping would still slip in one side of the Mediterranean in and out, and yeah, even though the British had the advantage, controlling Gibraltar, it was not. It was just too large an area to stop all traffic that went in quickly and quietly. Now, again, Tunisia has come up past Corsica and Sardinia, right? That's what we used to call them in my old reality, Corsica and Sardinia, right? And it's now further east of those islands. It's to the south, but it's come up underneath them and further east, going close towards Malta, going out towards Sicily. It has literally closed in hundreds of miles. It's the same as Shanghai, China, which came up the coast of China and traveled north around 250 to 300 miles further north than what it was originally was at. Or Hainan Island in China, which grew in size steadily over a couple of years, around 2017, 2018, which I know people in this reality, though, are going to be able to reflect, and they're going to say, what are you talking about? I was born in this island in 1950, and it's always been this way, yeah, that kind of thing like that. These were, to my observations, watching Hainan Island, which is China's kind of premier quantum island, right, grow and become bigger and bigger. And then, of course, watching China change here and there in significant ways, as the entire Earth did as well. The entire Earth became smaller, and with changes to the continents here and there. One thing I do recall is from the past, when I first arrived after quantum jumping, and I hadn't made the connections of how all the things had changed. I was thinking this was the phase-in period that I was going through. For example, when I was watching I wasn't watching television. I think I was looking on the phone, on a story on the phone, about the tragedy of the French airliner that left Brazil and was taking a track well out into the Atlantic and was well off the coast of Brazil by hundreds of miles and sadly crashed into the Atlantic. When I watched that news story, even though I watched the aircraft go a simulated example of the aircraft leaving Brazil and going up into the Atlantic headed towards France, I didn't make the connection that I was looking at South America much, much further east than it had been, much further east by hundreds of miles. That was just a fact I missed until I made the connections later. But during this time that this was going on, when I was coming into my apartment complex and so forth, and I was trying to park a vehicle, if I was pulling up to the parallel lines, no matter how slow and how careful I went in to park, I always parked wrong, always. And that was very strange to me, because I would go in and I would say, well, park it like you're a 90-year-old man, and that you're driving like that, like you're driving like you're 90 years old, and go in as straight and as easy and as quiet as you can. I would still, no matter what, come out with the car unaligned to the parking spot. Luckily, I didn't smash into another car or anything else like that. But it was real evident that I could not, no matter what I did, park in a parking spot correctly with a good straight directional format in my parking. I was always crooked, and I think that's because spatially I was trying to park in two separate realities at the same time. However, that was working. That's just an example of something that was happening. Now, since then, watching the Earth, it took me some time to discover that I was watching and observing Google Earth, changing and transforming its shapes and its patterns of the maps, but I also realized from other stuff, from like even movies and films or printed material, when I was looking at maps, that they had also physically changed, and they were representing the new reality that I was seeing. Okay, that has never stopped. It has never changed. I keep on looking in from time to time and watching. Now, things I can see sometimes that things have changed very, very little, and we have had no rapid changes or that kind of thing. And it's been slower, but it has not stopped. And again, I think that our atmosphere is being worked, or our water off of the surface, off the oceans, all the world's surface waters are being effectively evaporated off of the earth, okay? And this helps in the mechanism of closing up and closing in and shrinking the earth, okay? I also think we probably do have numerous craft that are invisible to our observations at various altitudes up in the sky that are maintaining positions, that they maintain constant positions, and there are craft that go to and fro. I, from time to time, also always see changes to the format, Antarctica. Okay, now you can appreciate, the changes that have been going on are in some part like the procedural formats that they use, they change and alter to however they display the changes that they make. And I don't know how many changes, like how many times Google decides to do the Earth. Is it annually, twice annually, quarterly? What is it, right? But the changes, the observations that I see, no matter what, could not take place in a human lifetime. Far exceeding a human lifetime. Really, we know that changes take place. For example, Mount St. Helens in Washington State, where I used to live, and even the county lines that I used to live in that state, Clark County, have changed. Like they're now different. The position of the lake is different in Clark County, Vancouver Lake, Clark County, Vancouver, Washington, across from Portland, Oregon. That whole area, you can see the obvious changes that have taken place to Mount St. Helens, right? But even then, I can see how seemingly size has altered and changed, and things are closer to each other, even though nautically things have been representing themselves as not having changed, but to the naked eye, yes, to the naked eye, they still seem to have changed quite a bit. I've watched Puget Sound, Washington State, slowly closing in, becoming smaller. There have been some changes. I have paid real close attention lately to Vancouver Island, British Columbia, and to Vancouver itself. British Columbia itself has had some changes. Alberta has had changes going on. some of which I think are time changes, retrocausality, based on the movements of water because of the geography changes that changed the map of British Alberta itself. For example, Edmonton and Calgary, where they used to be opposed to each other, you could see how Edmonton moved over further east than Calgary, and Calgary swung back closer to the mountains. But we have had changes everywhere on Earth. There has not been a place that has not changed. Indonesia was always a broken up continent, but its islands have even shifted over more north and south. There have been comments on some shows that I've seen have reflected and commented on the Mandela effect, talking about Japan. And indeed, southern Japan for me, southern Japan has really been ripped open, wide apart compared to what it used to be, with areas of the sea coming right into the mainland of Japan. That used to all be solid back through there, and that the northern island, of course, is flipped. It's not tilted in the same direction than it was before. So we still have changes to Greenland. We still have changes to the Arctic, though I can't discern it and see it that well because of my eyesight. I can still see the ice coming off of Greenland at a fantastic rate, very quickly. And those other areas around the Arctic as well. Of course, no Svalbard for me in my old reality, nor any Andorra. There was no Andorra. That, curiously, also is the same place where this man from Torrid supposedly was. And I do have one lament. I have one big gripe, and it's in regards to all of us who are scattered all throughout the earth. Our story, compared to the man from Torrid, eclipses that story by multitudes. And you notice that there's just not a word about it. There's just nothing out there about the quantum jumpers all over Earth. It never even comes up. That kind of tells you something. That kind of focus to the narrative kind of gives you an indication of one possibility or two possibilities, maybe more than that. At least it gives you some scope of the possibilities of things that are going on. Now, I'm in my mid-60s now. It's going to be almost 9 years since I quantum jumped. I think I've come through several realities, like a lot of you have come through several realities. And because I've observed people who were already passed away when I got here who are alive again. One is Jim Neighbors. Gomer Pyle had died about 10 years earlier for me, and here he was back alive. And we had people like Jim Brown and Tina Turner pass away and come back again. Alan Arkin, a star, film star. Tina Turner, the singer. Jim Brown, the famous personality, football player, and sometime actor. And there were others. Judge Judy. Around 2018, I read stuff about an obituary about Judge Judy. She was worth $42 million at the time of her passing, around $42 million. I imagine she's, since she got to have several more years around, she's probably worth quite a bit more. But if she's back with us, Judge Judy is. So, and several other actors, I can't remember or call or name all of them and stuff like that, right? And I would not be surprised by any kind of a situation, for example, where someone perceived that I had passed away in their reality or I had gone on further. Again, this is what I think has happened to Rain on the Plains, I don't know if you remember her, Rain on the Plains, everybody, and Photo Helix. Photo Helix has passed on, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if they are still aware of themselves in their own quantum reality, still existing where they're at, and they're dealing with whatever version of us is there. I assume they might be. I was concerned about some issues with Rain on the Plains, though, because I had heard in the background some personalities that gave me pause. While she was speaking, she was doing one of her shows. There was an individual in the background who sounded like a kind of a belligerent drinker type, who was saying, "I know because I know," and this guy was going on, and I just had a bad vibe hearing this guy, and I was thinking, well, I wonder who she's around right now. I had heard her have a conversation with her two sons, while she was in Colorado, and that kind of things like that. And other people, for whatever reason, may have dropped out. I could understand anybody saying, I want my life back. I want to live the life I had before, even though really in reality that life is long, long gone. I guess it is for all of us, really. I still think we have purpose, and I think we have meaning here. Something to be done, something, even if we're not aware of what it is yet. And I regret that I am not someone who's productive, who makes a good deal of use of my time. I admire Helen in the UK for sharing her faith. She's shared some things. If y'all met Helen, the stargazer, is still around, and she is sharing things about faith and that kind of things like that. And that's something I think we should still be doing with each other, is sharing, right? Even though people may move on, pass on, maybe meet with their ultimate time, maybe just go on to another phase of their own existence, whatever that may be. But we still have things happening here on this earth. They're happening constantly and slowly, but they're thorough and they're still continuing. And we have that happening and occurring here now. So all of you who have been going through things, again, Vanessa, Richard out in Florida, again, sorry to hear the both of you having trouble. And I'm sorry, Richard, I'm got to go through it again and see where I missed put your phone information. But everyone, this is something still to be worked and still to be contemplated and still to be looked at. We are not done, not by a mile. Thank you for listening. Texas Danny out.